Be authentic, own the outcome, have the hard conversations. It doesn't mean it's easy. And sometimes it is uncomfortable. It's not just a mantra, it's a set of goals to live up to. Is that, I will repeat that to my kids, and then it will happen that something will walk in the door that I have to deal with that I don't want to. And I've got to remind myself, I need to have this conversation.
Welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast, the official podcast for tire business. I am Mike Edge, your host, and I have the privilege of interviewing the tire dealers, shop owners, counter sales reps, technicians, industry executives, and other thought leaders of our industry. This episode is brought to you by Tread Partners. Tread Partners is the leading digital marketing agency that specializes in digital marketing for multi-location tire and auto repair shops. Tread Partners works with clients that have hundreds of locations down to 5 locations. Get a professional, unbiased opinion and let Tread Partners review what you're doing. It starts with a simple conversation. To contact Tread Partners, visit treadpartners.com. So let's get started. Hey folks, welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast, the official podcast for tire business. My guest today is Jason Eich with 2 stores in Evansville, Indiana, Eich Brothers Automotive and Dart Automotive. Jason, welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast.
Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here.
Man, you and I don't live very far apart, so it was pretty cool to get to meet you personally. I don't get to do that a lot with my, guests that are coming on the show, and so it was fun, and I appreciate you taking me to your club there. It was awesome. But tell us a little bit about you, because, as you and I got to know each other, this wasn't on your radar. I mean, you first of all, where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Clarksville, Indiana, which is literally, like right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. And my entire life, I really only wanted to do one thing, and that was join the Marines. And unfortunately, or fortunately, my dad had one goal, and it was he is to go to college. And so that was the deal. I did join the Marines. I joined the Marine Reserve so that I could go to college. And so when I got out of boot camp and training and things like that, I went to Evansville to go to school, and I never moved home. I stayed there, till now, even to this day. And
it's Evansville's a good town, and it's not that far from Clarksville. I mean, technically, you just right across I-60 for yeah.
But I don't know what it was about my hometown, but I mean, so I went to the University of Southern Indiana, and that was a massively growing university that was out in the country. And that appealed to me is because, it wasn't an urban school. It was out in the country. Yeah. And I could see myself, like biking or running or walking out there. And, I wanted to get away. And they had great on-campus housing. We had apartments, not dorms. And so that was another selling point. So but we made a home there, man. So
no, you did, and then but you speaking of USI, I mean, it's like it's not in the country anymore. Let's just say that it's ridiculous.
Division I school now.
Yeah,
it's Division I, and they're going to be in competition. I think that probationary period or whatever when you go Division I is ending, and so if it's not this year, next year it will be. Hopefully we see them on during March Madness someday.
Oh, absolutely, that's awesome. And so. You then I found out you had worked. We had a mutual friend. You worked for Red Spot Paint, which is is it strictly industrial paint, or is it across the board?
No, paint and chemicals, specialty coatings, mostly for the automotive industry, but a lot of they've had a long history of coating solutions, functional coatings for a lot of industries, Apple computer, things like that, even. Home appliances. But yeah, I worked there over 20 years. They hired me right out of college to be a production supervisor. And then I just grew and grew and grew and got into R&D as a project manager. And that kind of led to your original question is I was sitting at a local repair shop getting tires and an oil change one day. And the owner, who I knew very well, we went to church together, comes around the bar and says, "Hey, you ever thought of a career change?" And I was like, "I don't know, what do you got in mind?" He said, "Why don't you buy this place from me?" And 3 months later, we did.
Oh, I love it, man.
Oh, well, it must have been crazy.
Yeah, you love it though. You've done such a great job with both stores, and so you owned one for how long? before you went bought the second?
About 6 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
we bought our second shop at about the 6 year mark. It was a very similar deal. We'd been introduced to the owner, who and his wife. They were wanting to retire, and our connection with our local Napa owners, had connected us there, and we'd struck up a conversation about their exit plan and our interest in that, and then COVID hit. And that killed everything. I mean, where everyone just kind of like pulled back. We stopped talking to the family. We're just concentrating on our business. And when all that kind of blew over, I reached out to him. He's like, "Man, I've been thinking about you. Let's get together." And that's another one. 3 months later, it was over.
Yeah.
We owned it. So,
Well, and for our guests' sake, because they don't understand if they don't know Evansville, but Evansville is a unique city. It has what, about 250,000 metro area?
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe more with the county.
Yeah,
County.
yeah. But then you got this great dividing line called East and West there. So you bought a store on one side and a store on the other, and they don't function the
Yeah.
same. And I think
They
audiences,
do not.
I think it'd be
Yeah.
good for our audience to hear, because a lot of listeners are owners, and they probably have that same dilemma. And I think speak to that a little bit, the personality.
We're only by car maybe 12 or 15 minutes apart, but you have to cross Main Street to get in Evansville to get from one shop to the other. And for the community that has been born and raised on the west side of Evansville, Main Street may as well be the Grand Canyon with no bridge. They're not interested in crossing Main Street for anything at all. And I think I gave you the example is we can answer the phone on the east side and say, "Miss Jones, I can get you in right now in our west side location." They'll say, "Sure, shoot me the address." West side, you say Miss Jones and say, "Hey, I can get you in today on the east side." "No, I'm not going there." I mean, it's just like that. It's just not going to happen. They don't cross Main. It's a very conservative German Catholic community. Great people. I mean, they are so passionate and loyal about local business and the local high schools. I mean, they go 4 generations deep out of football games and wrestling.
And they win,
their
and they
kids don't go to school there, and they're still going.
and they
That's
win
the sport
state
in
titles.
friends.
And they're winners. They win, not every year, but you know what I mean. It's frequent.
They go deep.
Yes, yeah.
So
Great community.
it has been hard. It has been hard to move the needle from a marketing standpoint, is because our west side location is we're only seeing 8,000 cars a day at that location, from a traffic flow standpoint, as opposed to 35,000 on the east side. So we have to bring people to us
Yeah.
on the west side. And I mean, you're just trying everything to move the needle, but they don't change. I mean, if you've been going to Munsterman's on Franklin Street, for 20 years, your kids are going to Munsterman's too, and they're not going to give Dart Automotive a try.
Yeah.
And likewise, we have very loyal customers that they're not going to go to another shop because their dad, I mean, Dart's been there for 45 years, and they're extremely brand loyal. So it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing that we've got loyal customers and their families are loyal. And they trust us. But it is very difficult to get new customers in there, especially if we're trying to pull from the west side. We can pull east side customers there, but marketing challenge for sure.
It's going to be interesting. Well, first of all, thanks for your service. So you said, how long did you serve as a Marine?
So interestingly, it sounded very simple that I joined. I joined the Marines. I went to boot camp. I went to training, and I come back to go to college. But in between there, in that same breath, is the Gulf War kicked off, and so we got called up for Desert Storm, and sent to Camp Lejeune, and then elsewhere from there. So,
So you were deployed.
was expecting. Yes, I was expecting. I did not go to Saudi Arabia. I had we weren't fully trained when we got pulled up, and so we deployed with our unit and went to Camp Lejeune for additional training to get ready to go to war. But I hadn't been to school infantry yet, and so they pulled 8 of us out, all 8 lifelong friends to this day, and they sent us to school infantry, and then the unit went to Saudi Arabia, and it was always the plan is that we were going to be, we were going to meet back up. They would send us over to meet up, but the Gulf War ended. And so we ended up doing all our entire time either in school or on Camp Lejeune. They just found jobs for us. I mean, they were like, I don't know what we're going to do with you all. You don't have a unit. Your unit's overseas. So they put us to work wherever they could find spots.
Yeah.
So, so we were gone quite a while, but then I got to come back and go to college, and then here we are.
That's awesome. Well,
I tell people I got to see the very best of the Marine Corps. I got to scratch that itch. I got to do everything. I got to go to Paris Island. I got to do everything that I wanted to do. And other than the uncertainty of the war and what's going on, I've never been in harm's way. I had great people that surrounded me the entire time, made great friends.
Yeah.
And it really kind of defined who I am my entire life.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. My son-in-law is a Marine. You don't say was a Marine. I understand that now, because once one, always one. And I think that's cool. But you got a brother. Is he a partner with you? Is that right?
He is. Yeah, he is.
And did he have an automotive background?
No, not like that. I mean, people say automotive. Well, yeah, we sell paint and coatings to the automotive industry. That's not a repair background. He worked for Hoosier, which made wheels for automotive. But no, we didn't. We didn't know what the hell we were.
Yeah, but Hoosier was a West Side company, right?
Yes, it was. It was. So, but I would tell you that we were enthusiasts. My dad was that definitely, that 60s muscle car guy. And to this day, he's got several, 60s muscle cars in the garage. And so we grew up around that, going to cruise ins. And you might remember Carl Casper's Custom Auto Show that used to travel.
Yeah.
And you go up to the fairgrounds in Louisville to see that. And so we've been enthusiasts. It seemed like a natural transition because we loved cars so much. We had no idea that is a completely different world than daily auto repair.
Hey,
what a shock.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you shared with me earlier, and I love the story you were telling me, because talk about a shocker. But you go from repairing cars you want to repair to like this lady that came in your store you told me about. This is a great.
Yeah, man. And in those days, we were doing everything. We would check you in, and we were just doing whatever we could to keep the wheel turning, whether we're putting brakes or tires on your car or whatever. And so I was talking to this lady, I'm checking her in, and she says, Jason, she says, man, I think I've got a cat or an animal stuck in my car, and I hear it. And when I go over bumps, it makes it very angry. I'll never forget that. She was adamant about that. She goes, it gets very angry when I go over bumps. And I said, well, it's fine. Give me the keys. I'll take it for a drive. And I take it and I hear it, and it sounds like a cat. And she was right. Like when you hit bumps or went over railroad tracks, it was making a lot of noise. So we pulled it in, and it's coming from the rear of the vehicle. And I opened the trunk, and it was a stuffed animal, like a Tickle Me Elmo, but a cat. And something was laying on it. And every time you'd hit a bump, it would meow like crazy. And we got such a laugh out of that because I wish you could have heard her and seen her faces. Jason, when I hit bumps, it gets so angry. And it was a daggone stuffed animal.
I love it. It's angry.
Yes.
Oh, that's priceless. I bet you she was. But hey, that's a quick, easy fix. Just take it for a drive and
it was. Give this back to your daughter. It's going to be okay. So, but we have pulled animals out of cars over time. Squirrels, a squirrel's nest. We have had cats, caught up, especially in the winter in the engine. It wasn't an unreasonable request.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect to find a stuffed toy. So
I absolutely love that. I'm just curious. You guys are automotive, and both your stores have been around a long time. Are you familiar with right to repair and what's going on with that?
Yes, we are.
Good.
Yes, we are.
Good.
And I be honest, I just had this conversation with some other shop owners we absolutely want access to, to OE procedure and, to be able to program cars and have their repair information, but I'm okay with paying for it. And I might differ from some of my peers is I am for anything that allows us to showcase our expertise. it is okay for me if we have to buy a reasonably priced subscription to have access to Ford, GM, Chrysler, whoever that is. Just give me access. Because if I could, because we bring value when we can do this work if someone else can't. And the other trades did that. You can't go buy HVAC parts for your house. You have to have a license to do that. They that industry locked up the parts.
Yeah.
Electricians have to have a license, and I mean, you could do your own electrical work, but I mean, really, to meet code and to get permits, you got to be, a licensed electrician. We don't have that protection in our industry, and so if this is a barrier that allows us to flourish in that environment, I'm all for it. Just give us access.
Yeah, and well, that's the big thing. I don't think the OEs want to give the access. They like, but at the same time, what's crazy about it is they can't handle. Let's say, for instance, they put every independent out of business. They can't even handle. They couldn't handle the customers. So why? It blows my mind that we're in this debate. But I always want to bring it up when I can, and I hope listeners will, write their congressmen, call their congressmen, senators, etc. We've got to get right to repair passed, and this bullying from the OEs to stop, because the idea that they can control everything is just and I think it takes away from the American dream of owning your own business, and everything's it's like migrating to the top again. It's going to be controlled by a few instead of the many.
It's worse today than it's ever been because the aftermarket is only getting us so far in terms of parts. We are reliant more and more and more on complex systems that require programming, parts that the dealer part is just better. We're installing more dealer parts than ever. And so we need all that access. I mean, it's one thing to get the part, but we need to know how it comes apart, how it needs to go back together, what needs to be calibrated when we're done or reset. And it's all of that. I mean, a shameless plug. We're Napa Gold Auto Care Center. Both our locations are, and Napa is in front of this too. And then we're also a member of the NFIB, nice. And they are a massive lobby. They are a massive lobby for us on this. And every time they send me something on right to repair, I respond. It might be send this to your congressman right now. They make it real easy, and you can click.
Oh yeah,
it will blanket them all with letters. And I would tell people, get involved. Your vote's your voice, and that's our mechanism up, to our legislature.
That's awesome. I'm glad you said that. So, you're running 2 stores now. Do you have growth plans? I mean, do you want to grow beyond 2?
Yeah, we absolutely are working on a shop 3 right now. We've got a couple shop owners that are in that retirement age, and we just not got to yes yet. But we are absolutely looking for a 3rd, if not a 4th shop. Between my brother and I, we've got 3 kids that work for us, so we feel like we've got room to spread the Eichs out a little bit, to handle a larger operation. And we've also built our 2 shops. They both have shop managers. They're pretty much self-running, and so we think we're ready. Of course, we thought we were ready when we didn't know anything about auto repair too, right? And we jumped right in. So, but now we're hoping to buy, if not at the end by the end of this year, we're absolutely looking for a 3rd shop.
So
who knows?
Is your objective for the 3rd shop to be within the kind of the metro market the other 2 are in, or do you want to step out of that, or you know what I mean?
Not necessarily. I mean, so if I could stay within an hour or so of Evansville, that would be nice.
Yeah.
But I talked to a shop owner yesterday that his growth plan, he's wanting to chase, he's about retirement age, but he's a multiple shop owner and he's looking for more. And he's wanting that 4th or 5th shop somewhere where he is going to retire or vacation. And so he's thinking it's fine if that's up north because he wants to go north when it's hot. And if I've got a repair shop up there, it gives me purpose. Or if it's in the south where it's warm, that works too, because that's where I'm heading in the winter. And I thought that made sense to me, that he's planning his growth around his.
That's no, but it is kind of cool because we all know the people that retire, they do. I mean, they lose a purpose, right? I mean, especially if you worked at a facility like, let's say, Red Spot, for instance, where you were. Once you leave there, there's no way to kind of stay involved. And I think that's cool when you get an independent business owner that recognizes that, hey, yeah, I want to retire. I want to sell off the biggest part of my nuggets here or whatever. But at the same time, I'd like to still get a store operational, manage itself, but I get to tinker with it and make sure that it runs and do my part, etc. But I like that. I mean, I think, yeah, you shouldn't have to work as hard, but why give it up completely if you don't want to, you know?
Yeah. I think it's a mindset issue for a lot of shop owners is we have went from having to do absolutely everything from mopping the floors and changing light bulbs, to writing checks. And today our shops run themselves, and it really does allow us to work on our business. We can take deep dives into data and work with our vendors. Even a big part of my job is marketing. And so you got to have that mindset that growth doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be the face in the day to day in that shop. Actually, that's not my plan at all. It's to have another shop and to have it run the way our two existing shops do. And then truth is, if I hit the lottery, meaning me, I mean, my kids are running it and I'm still involved, but I'm listening and maybe giving them some direction or some guidance, and it becomes more strategic. But how do you get from that? Doing everything. I mean, most shop owners built that business themselves from the ground up, and they know every customer, and they shook their hand and they looked them in their eyes. And it's not easy for them to break away to be more of an executive or a CEO of their organization that has to rely on other people to do all them things for them. And we've been able to make that transition.
And
So,
I do believe you touched on something that's probably one of the hardest things for any entrepreneur to do. I've done a podcast with some younger generations taking over their father's company, but father's still involved, and they'll just tell you we butt heads, because dad still wants to be involved in every detail and he can't pull himself out of it, but he's doing better. But it's just this,
yeah,
he's glued in, it's just these ways he's wired. And it is always interesting to see the skill set of a second generation take their company, to another level, because their viewpoint's different, and they weren't in the weeds as much. But I think it's cool that you've recognized that even before passing it on, that, hey, I've got to pull back, and I got to create managers and educate them and bring them up. So, well done on that.
yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm anxious to see what our kids can do with it. I
Yeah.
really am. I think my daughter, if we can get her to, I mean, family business is tough, and she doesn't work in the business now, but if we could get her involved, she's going to rock her cousins. I can tell you that now. I mean, she is very driven, and she might make us uncomfortable with the pace of change and growth. But man, what a neat time that might be.
Oh, heck yeah. That's awesome. It's awesome that you recognize that too. Well, on a more personal level, let's talk about some personal things. I always like to ask people some questions. What's a code mantra quote that you like to live by, or something somebody given you?
Man, that probably the most meaningful, the one that I've got on my whiteboard in my office. It's three sentences. It's be authentic, own the outcome, have the hard conversations. And that just spoke to me early in this path, because when we do those three things, it all works out every time. And it doesn't mean it's easy. And sometimes it is uncomfortable, but it always works out when we're authentic, when we're, you know, when we own that, and wherever that falls, you've got to own it. But then you can't shy away from those conversations, and that's also a set of goals. It's not just a mantra; it's a set of goals to live up to. Is that, I will repeat that to my kids, and then it will happen that something will walk in the door that I have to deal with that I don't want to, and I've got to remind myself I need to have this conversation.
It reminds me of a quote that I heard one time, and it was might have been my brother, but we were talking about faith and religion and everything. And one of the things that seems like that people get confused, that they want to be nice, they want to be charitable or whatever. And I love this quote, and I don't know where it came from, but clarity is charity. And we've got to be clear with people in order to be more authentic. And if we're not clear, willing to have those hard conversations, it gets worse. I mean, that's the reality. And if we're upfront with people, and that means being upfront with ourselves before we even have that conversation, hey, this is an issue, this is a problem, and for the sake of the rest of the team, I've got to address it with this person. Or, even if it's just a personal issue with you one-on-one with somebody, instead of just sitting there stewing over it, go address it. Have a clear conversation.
Cars never fix themselves. That noise never gets better. It always gets worse, but it's the same thing in business is, they don't go away. They don't get better on their own. At some point you have to deal with it. And, and truth is it's not easy being an owner. It's not easy being an owner in a family owned business either. We have all of that, all of those dynamics going on. But they don't fix themselves. And sometimes you've got to be an owner, and not everybody can do that.
No.
And really, until you try, you don't know if you can or not. We've managed to make it work for 10 years. So, I mean, I like our chances, but brother, there were times, there were times where, yeah, I mean, we have woke people, my brother and I in the early years, woke people up around us when we were arguing, and then got, but it always ended with a hug. Man, I love you. I think you're wrong, but I love you.
You're still wrong. Or real quick on a fun note before we leave, what's your favorite movie?
Gone in 60 Seconds. Brother, I will watch 10 minutes of that every time that it's on, TBS or USA, or, it's like on endless loop. And, I don't know what it is about that movie. I mean, Nicolas Cage is a great actor. Maybe it's the car.
He's not great in every role he plays, but that was designed for him. That was a great role for him. And there's no cooler name for a car thief than Memphis Reigns. I mean,
Memphis Reigns. Yeah.
And
I think what's neat is the movie is kind of symbolic. It was of that unattainable goal, right? He could never steal that car. Something always went wrong.
Eleanor.
And Eleanor. Yeah. So, but he did it. He did it. So I don't know. I love that movie.
I love it when he finally gets that last car there and he's trying to save his brother's life, and he goes, he had banged it up a little bit. He goes, okay. He goes, the mirror. He goes, we can fix this. A couple of touches,
a little bit of pain. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that is great. But I thank you for being on here. I was really looking forward to interviewing you, and I knew you'd be an awesome guest, so I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, man. I love talking shop. I love shop owners. It's that has been the byproduct of the freedom that our business has given us. Is it's let us connect with some really neat people, and we get to do what we love every day.
Well, pleasure having you, and to our audience out there, thank you for always being part of the podcast. We love you. To all our listeners, thank you for being part of the Gain Traction podcast. We are grateful for you. If you'd like to find more podcasts like this, please visit gaintractionpodcast.com. If you'd like to make a guest recommendation, please email me at mike@treadpartners.com. This episode has been powered by Tread Partners, the leader in digital marketing for multi-location tire and auto repair shops. To learn more about Tread Partners, visit treadpartners.com.